Hello everyone, it's me Jahanvi. So in this video we are going to discuss two important topics from the ancient history, that is the Buddhism and Jainism. I think these two topics are the most predictable topics in the entire UPSC Prelims exam, because every year there are at least two questions from this topic alone. And I think that these two topics are very easy if you have a basic conceptual clarity, and also you have if you have studied the NCERTs. So through this video, I'll share with you all the facts related to Buddhism and Jainism, which are there in the old NCERT and also in the new NCERT, that is the themes NCERT. So I think that NCERTs are very important in this context, and I hope that you may be able to learn a thing or two from this video. So let's get started. So firstly, the basic facts about Buddha, that he was born in a Shakya family in Lumbini, Nepal. I think these things you all must be aware of, and that his favorite horse was Kanthak and his favorite charioteer was Channa. So these are some basic facts, not that important I would say, but these facts that related to his significant events that were given a specific name, these are very important. So the first one is the Mahavira Skramana. So this was the time when he had to renounce his lavish lifestyle. So he had cut his hair and he had to send it along with his discarded garments to his father, which was symbolic of him renouncing his lavish lifestyle as a king. So this is an important event. And then Dharm Chakra Parivartana. This also, I think most of you must be knowing that it was the time when he gave his first sermon at Sarnath. And then Mahaparinirvana is when he passed away at Kushinagra. So these are three important events that you should be knowing. And then the Buddhist doctrine, this is very important to know what is the basic philosophy of Buddhism. So the basic philosophy is that he talks about suffering, that the suffering is the ultimate reality in life, and suffering happens due to desires. And because a person is caught up in desires, that leads to a wheel of birth and rebirth that he calls samsara. So please note down this word samsara, that it means that we are caught up in the wheel of birth and rebirth. So suffering and desires are his main philosophy, and every thing, all the sadness in human life is because of desires that humans have. And also the second most important thing is that nothing is permanent, he says. We desire everything, but we fail to recognize the fact that nothing is permanent. Everything is going to go away. So he calls that one should enjoy the moment. So permanence and desire are something that are important aspects of Buddhism. So please remember these things. And then there are three Ratna of Buddhism. I think this also most of you must be knowing, that is Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. These are the three Ratna of Buddhism. And then he gave the four noble truths that you have to know that who gave four noble truths. You might not have to remember all these, but just know that the four noble truths were given by Buddha. Again, he says that life is suffering. Suffering is caused by craving for permanence. Again, see, these are important terms related to Buddhism. And suffering ends with end to craving. And then he gives a way that how can you end this samsara of desires, which he calls the eightfold path. Again, these are the eight things that he says that one should practice. You just have to know that eightfold path was given by Buddha. You need not memorize these things. And then, of course, he gave the middle path, that Madhyam Marga, that he says that one should avoid the excess of both luxury and austerity. That there needs to be a balance. You need not be, do extremes of anything. Just keep your life in balance. That was the Madhyam Marga, very important again. Now, what is very important is that Buddhism initially didn't recognize the existence of God. Now, as Buddhism has developed over the centuries, its philosophies have changed. But remember that in the NCERT it is given that initially that Buddhism didn't recognize existence of God, and it doesn't recognize the soul either. So these are two important things that you should know. And then again, see in the questions that have been in there in the PYQs, which of the following best describes the concept of nirvana? So nirvana is extinction of the flame of desire. Again, I told you desire is of the utmost importance in Buddhism, and that is what best describes the concept of nirvana. And these questions we'll discuss later. So again, regarding Buddhism, then you have to know the Buddhist councils that were very important. So first one was held at Rajgir, and it was under the patronage of Ajatashatru. That is something you should know. And then in the first council, very important thing was that the Vinay Pitaka and the Sutta Pitaka were compiled. So just know that the Vinay Pitaka it contains the rules of the Buddhist order, and the Sutta Pitaka contains the sermons of doctrines of ethical beliefs of Buddha. So this is the main thing that you should know here. And also a part of Sutta Pitaka has Therigatha and Theragatha, and these are also texts of Buddhism. So please remember, because UPSC has a habit of asking you about texts and books related to Buddhism and Jainism. So these things you should be aware of, that these are Buddhist texts. Then the next council was held in Vaishali under the patronage of Kalasoka, and then the Buddhist Sangha split into two, Sthaviravadins and Mahasangika. So this is something that you should know. We'll study about these two later. And the third one was at Patliputra under the patronage of Ashoka, and the Abhidhamma Pitaka was compiled. I think Abhidhamma Pitaka was more about philosophy related to Buddhism. And the final one was held at Kashmir under the patronage of Kanishka. Now please know Vasumitra and Ashvaghosha. These two are very important personalities. You should know that these two were present during the reign of Kanishka, because UPSC might ask it again, or in any way they could ask it, because these two are important, significant personality, Vasumitra and Ashvaghosh. And under the Kanishka, the division into Mahayana and Hinayana was done, and you should know that, under whose patronage Mahayana Buddhism flourished, it was the Kanishka. So this much you should know. And then in the NCERT there are some texts given, again related to Buddhism, the Deepavamsa, Mahavamsa and Kulavamsa. Just remember that these are Buddhist texts. You do not have to go into its detail, what are these books about. Just know that these are related to Buddhism. And again, in my first video I had told you about Avadanas. Avadanas are also literature that correlate the past lives to subsequent life events. So Avadanas, just know that these are also Buddhist texts. They could ask questions in any form, we have seen. So just know these basic things about Buddhism. And then let's talk about its various sects. So Buddhism would be divided into Sthaviravadins, that is also known as Theravada, and Mahasamgika. So this one is the old one, and this one was the relatively newer one. So they have asked about the sects before, so you should know which sect belonged under which school of thought. And so these are many sects. So like what you can do is that you could memorize any of one. So what I did was I had memorized the Mahasamgika ones, because it's very it's very time consuming and to memorize all of them. So these 5 I had memorized, and I had made my own mnemonic out for it. So now you know that Buddhism preaches harmony. So what I had done, that I had made this mnemonic that let's keep chanting harmony like yogi. So let's is for Lokatavada, Kautika is keep, Kaitika is chanting, Hemvata is harmony, and Yogichara is yogi. Okay, so this is how you could memorize these sects of Mahasamgika. So it would be easier for you to memorize if there is a question on these sects. So if you know these, then ultimately if there is any other sect, you would know that this is not Mahasamgika at least, then it would be easier for you to eliminate. And here there was Sarvastivada, and under Sarvastivada there were 4 subsects: Sautantrika, Dastantrika, Vaibhashika, and Samitya, and all these things. I have written these because these have been asked in the PYQ. I'll show you here. They had asked about here. So it has asked that Sthaviravadins belong to Mahayana Buddhism. It's not Mahayana Buddhism, they belong to Hinayana Buddhism. So this goes incorrect, as we had looked here. And then Lokotharavadin sect was an offshoot of Mahasamgika sect of Buddhism. And here we have seen that it is true, it is Mahasamgika. So it goes incorrect, and then it goes correct. And then the deification of Buddha by Mahasamgika fostered by Mahayana Buddhism. This is also correct. I will study it later. So 2 and 3 comes out to be your answer. So this is why you should know the sects that are important in the Buddhism. Just know a few of them, so that at least those of them which have been asked again and again in the exam, because there is always a probability that they would be repeated again. So moving ahead, then difference between these, that is also important, because again there have been so many questions on Mahasamgika. So just know that Sthaviravadins are older ones. So when a thing is old, then they are more strict, right? So these has more rigorous rules. That is something you should know. And then in Mahasamgika, many new things were adopted. First was that they gave the attribute of divinity to Buddha. Okay, they treated Buddha as a god, and they claimed that Buddha never existed in physical form. What this means is that they believe that Buddha is a god and he is not a mortal like us. So he is a god and he never existed in a physical form. And the Bodhisattva is a very, very important aspect of Mahasamgika. Bodhisattva means a person who can attain perfection, who can attain nirvana, but he delays it so that he can help others to achieve it. So that is a core concept of Mahasamgika, Bodhisattva. But in contrast, the other sect, the Sthaviravadins, they believed in Arhat. They say that they do not think that there is a person who has to delay his own nirvana for others. They say they believe in simple concept of Arhat, who is a person who perfects himself. Okay, so that is a basic difference between two. And the Mahasamgika later on becomes the Mahayana, and the Sthaviravadins become the Hinayana. Okay. And so in Mahayana, Lotus Sutra is a very important book again. Please remember the books. And Paramitas is also a very important topic, important concept under Mahayana. As you must have seen in a PYQ as well, there has been a question on Paramitas. These refer to 6 perfections under Mahayana. You don't have to go in its details. Just know that Paramitas is a concept of Mahayana Buddhism. And Vajrayana is a subsect of Mahayana Buddhism. In Vajrayana, I hope that you must have read that tantric practices started under Vajrayana sect of Buddhism, and it was mostly famous near the Bengal region. And in Hinayana, some things that you should know is that in Hinayana, the Vipassana meditation is of Hinayana origin. The Vibhajyavada teaching is also of Hinayana origin. It just means that one needs to be analytical. And Visuddhimagga is also related to Hinayana. It means path of purification, and it was written by Buddha Ghosha. These are only things that you should keep in mind relating to Hinayana. And one thing that I noticed is that all of these start with V. Vipassana, Vibhajyavada, Visuddhimagga. So just know that these are related to Buddhism and specifically to Hinayana Buddhism. So that is something that you should know. And some famous personalities related to Buddhism. One is the Nagasena. He's famous because he answered questions related to Buddhism to Meander 1, and it is recorded in Milindapanu. Again, this has been asked again and again. And then Nagarjuna, now please don't confuse Nagarjuna and Nagasena. They seem identical, but they are different people and are attributed to different things. Please don't confuse it in the exam. Nagarjuna is related to Shunyata doctrine. And a very important person is Atisa. He is related to the Vajrayana Buddhism, which flourished under the Pala rule. So please, it is an important fact, I think. And Atisa was the one who went to Tibet, like he internationalized Buddhism. So that is why I think he is also very important. And know that he existed during the reign of Pala dynasty. So these are some important personalities that you should know. And then there are some universities related to Buddhism that you should know. I think Odantapuri, Vikramshila, Jagadala, all these are in Bihar and then in Bengal and under the Pala dynasty. Vallabhi in Gujarat, Nalanda in Bihar. But know that Nalanda, Nagarjuna, Aryabhatta and Yusan Tang, who came from China, they studied in the Nalanda University, while the Takshila University in Pakistan, that is in Pakistan today, Chanakya, he wrote his Arthashastra there, Charak, Panini, Jivika, all these people studied at the Takshila University. These are some important facts that I think you should know. And then I would want you to know some important facts from the new themes NCERT. But before that, let's just have a look at some questions. See again, which of the following are the features of Mahayana Buddhism? Again, deification of Buddha. This is correct because I told you that they gave him the attribute of divinity. So that is correct. And treading the path of Bodhisattvas. Again, Bodhisattvas are a very crucial concept under the Mahayana Buddhism. This is also correct. And image worship and rituals. This is also correct. That Mahayana Buddhism introduced it. So all of them are correct. And with reference to religious history of India, the concept of Bodhisattva is central to Hinayana sect. See again, Bodhisattva they have asked. Here also they have asked about Bodhisattvas. So it's an important concept and it is under the Mahayana Buddhism. So this goes incorrect. And Bodhisattva is a compassionate one on his way to enlightenment. And Bodhisattva delays achieving his own salvation to help other beings on their path to it. This is correct, right? So 2 and 3 becomes the answer. And then again, with reference to cultural history, correct description of paramitas. See, at that point, even if you didn't know about paramitas, what you could have done is you could have stressed on the word param. Like if you know Hindi, then you would know param is something that resonates with perfection, the best or the perfect thing. So param sounds like that. And so here you could have, when you read the options, you could have just applied the presence of mind then, and param would mean perfections, whose attainment lead to bodhisattva part. Again, see, bodhisattva is a very recurrent topic, so that is why it is important. And yeah, then there are some facts from the new NCERT themes that I think are very important. One is that it says that none of the Buddha's speeches were written during his lifetime. That means that his speeches were written after he died. So that is something. And then Deep Vamsa and Mahavamsa, these are texts that were written in Sri Lanka. Again, know that these are Buddhist texts. And then there are some Buddhist symbols, that the empty seat would reflect meditation of Buddha. And the wheel, if there is a wheel in Buddhist paintings or any inscription or anything, then it means that it represents the Dharma Chakra Parivartana. So this is something that you should know. And then again, a very important thing is Shala Bhanjika. Now these are some things related to Buddhism only, remember this. And these are women whose touch caused trees to flower and bear fruits. Now it is an example of a non-Buddhist tradition that found place in Buddhism. So there could always be a statement in the exam like this. So just know that these were non-Buddhist symbols that were eventually adopted by Buddhism. And there were other motifs like women surrounded by lotus and elephants, and these represents Maya or Gajalakshmi. Just know these things. And a very important thing is Anika, is that it means that world is transient, that it is impermanent, and Anatta, that it means that it is soulless. Again, I told you that Buddhism doesn't believe in soul. So these two terms, if you see in exam, you should know that these are related with Buddhism. And Shamanas, there has been a PYQ on these, that these are the people who renounced everything. They are known as shamans. And then the NCERT also mentions that what were the last words of Buddha. His last words were, "Be lamps unto yourself, as all you must work out your own liberation." Again, they could have just, write this statement and ask you who said these words. So it was Buddha, remember this. And then some facts like foster mother Mahapajapati Gautami was the first woman bhikkhuni. Know that bhikkhuni is also a concept related to Buddhism. And theories are respected women who attain liberation. This is something that you should know. And then metta means karuna. Karuna means compassion. So these are some things related to Buddhism, like words that you should know. I think these are very easy things. Like if you just read it once or twice, they'll stay in your mind. So this is about Buddhism. And let's do Jainism as well. So in Jainism, there's a concept of Tirthankaras, and there were 24 Tirthankaras. The first one was Rishabdev, who is also known as Adinath, and then 23rd was Parsavnath, and the 24th, the last one, is the Mahavira, and he is also known as Nirgrantha Nataputta. Okay, just know these things. And then some basic facts about him, that he was born in Kundal Grama, his clan was Vaji in Natrika, and he died at there are Panch Mahavratas under Jainism. So there has been a PYQ on this as well, that there was something about vratas. So even if you just read these words very carefully, there could be a question in some way or the other. Just know that vratas are related to Jainism, and there are 5 vratas. Again, you do not have to memorize them, but just know that Panch vratas are related to Jainism. And then some important things about Jain philosophy that you should know is the first and the most important thing that Jainism says is that the entire world is animated. Animated means that everything has life in it. Okay, so all the trees, soil and everything has a life. That is what it essentially means in Jain philosophy. And this statement has been, so much in PYQs, like they have framed question out of this single statement so many times. So just keep this thing in mind. And again, Jainism believes in soul, unlike Buddhism. Okay, this is a basic difference between Jainism and Buddhism. And Jainism also recognizes existence of God, and it believes in karma. So these are some facts that you should know. And again, it also has 3 Ratna. Again, you don't have to memorize these. Just know that these are there. And then there are some important terms related to Jainism that you should know. The one is the Basadis. These are monasteries of Jains, and Basadis are mainly in Karnataka. And elsewhere in Gujarat and Rajasthan, they are known as Derasar. So there could always be a question that with reference to ancient Indian history, Basadis and Derasar, what are these? So know that these are Jain monasteries. Okay, and then there is concept of Kavalya. This means Guan, and it means the truth of life. Okay, what is the truth of life? Kavalya. And it has sacred books. Its books are called Siddhantas and Agamas. And Gandharas here means that with respect to Jainism, this means the disciples of Mahavira. So remember these things. And Puranas and Charitras again are hagiographies of Tirthankaras. I mean their life stories. And then Kevala Janana, infinite knowledge. I mean I am not pronouncing them perfectly, but just know these things, that this means infinite knowledge. And then these are the very important philosophies of Jainism that you should know. You do not have to go in its depth. Just know what it means. That Anekantvada. Anek means, Anek from the word means many. So just like the word, it says that there is pluralism. There are many point of views related to a single situation. There is relativism. So that is what the philosophy means, that there is no fixed way of seeing things. There are many perspectives. Okay, and then it is Syadvada. Again, it means that, it essentially means the same thing. That there are many things happening and there are plurality. And then Syad, in Hindi also Shayad means maybe. So that is how you can remember it. And Nayavada, again same thing, different viewpoints. So essentially know that the Buddhist Jain philosophy says these things, and these are Jain philosophies. And then Kevalins are the ones who can comprehend objects in all aspects, while others are capable of partial knowledge. So Kevalins, again, know that these are related to Jainism, the people who can comprehend objects in all aspects. They are known as Kevalins. And the other very important thing about Jainism is that Jainism says that you have to practice severe asceticism and penance. It means that, like in Buddhism, you saw that you do not have to practice penance, because it says that you have to adopt a Madhyam Marga, but it is not in Jainism. Okay, so remember these things. And then again, there are sects under Jainism as well, the Digambara and Shvetambara. So the basic difference between is that Digambara prefers nudity, while Shvetambara wears people from Shvetambara sect would wear white clothes. And the famous saints from these sects, Bhadrabahu and the Sthalbahu. And he went to the south and he stayed in the north. There's a context behind it, because there was a drought in Magध. So some of the people who practiced Jainism, they went to the south, and some remained in the north only. So that is why this distinction. And so other things of difference between both the sects is that Digambara would call their texts as Siddhants, while Shvetambara would call it Agamas. And the Digambara would call the writings or the writings on their saints, their stories, as Purvas, while Shvetambara would call it Charitra. So these are basic difference, because there has been a question on this as well. And the other things that you should know is that Arghika is a woman monk under Jainism. Arhat is the one who has entered the state of Kevala Jnana. And Ashtamangala are 8 auspicious symbols under Jainism. Salekhana means voluntary fasting that Jains practice. And Pratikarman is a practice where they repent for their sins. So these are some important things that you should know with respect to Jainism as well. And so in Jainism, I told you that there are 2 sects, and under these 2 sects also there are some subsects that you should know, because there has been a question on this Tankwasi. And so this is the most important one that you should know, that it is in the Shvetambara. And if you can remember the other ones, it's fine. Even if you cannot, then also it's fine. The objective is that you should know whatever they have asked in the PYQs. And so let's see at some questions here. See, here it is asking which of the following is correct. That Jainism was spread in South India under the leadership of Sthalbahu. It is incorrect, because as I told you, it was the Bhadrabahu who went to the south and he remained in the north. The Jainism who remained under the leadership of Bhadrabahu were called Shvetambars after the council held at Patliputra. Again, under the leadership of Bhadrabahu, they were called Digambars, not Shvetambars. So this also goes incorrect. And Jainism enjoyed the patronage of King Kharavela in 1st century. This is correct. And in initial stage of Jainism, Jain worshipped images unlike Buddhists. This is incorrect. So Kharavela is also very important. When we talk of famous personalities related to Jainism, one is Chandragupta Maurya. He had, during his last phase of his life, he moved to Karnataka and he had adopted Jainism. So this is something that you should know. And King Kharavela of Kalinga, he was also, he promoted Jainism. And you must know that the Udaygiri caves in Odisha, they are attributed to Jainism only. And there is Hathigampa and Ranigampa inscriptions that are very important. You must know these things. And then lastly, there are some pilgrimage sites that you should know about Jainism. That is the Palitana temple, that is in Gujarat. Then Parasnath, that is in Jharkhand. Girnar is in Gujarat. Again, it's a PYQ. Pavapuri is in Bihar. Dilwara temple in Mount Abu, Rajasthan. Then Shravanbela Gola. This has also been a PYQ. It's in Karnataka and it has the Gomateshwara statue. It has been asked previously in a PYQ, so know these things. Again, Seethanwasal Caves, again from the PYQs, it's in Tamil Nadu. So these are some important facts that you should know about Jainism as well. And then let's have a look at some questions. The most important idea of Jainism, that the entire world is animated. Even stone, rocks and water have life. Again, this is correct. The most important aspect of Jainism, it is that. And that asceticism and penance are required to free oneself from the cycle of karma. This is also correct, right? We discussed it before. So 1 and 2. Again, this concept has been repeated so many times, that the world is animated. Again, this was a question in 2023, that souls are not only property of animal and plant life, but also rocks, running water and natural objects. This reflects one of the beliefs of which of the following sects? It says Jainism. So these are some basic things that you should know about Jainism and Buddhism. And I hope that this video was helpful to you, and that Jainism and Buddhism are a very predictable and easy topics. So revise that very well. These things shouldn't go wrong. So I think it was helpful for you, and I'll be sending this PDF in my Telegram group. So if you require it, please get it through the Telegram group. And all the very best for your exam.